This will be a whole new offering and probably tap into a market that Nike and other sports apparel companies really haven't before.
You know what the contract is?
I want to say it's $3 million a year for 8 to 10 years. It's almost $30 million, something like
that. The real shockwave in the sports marketing world isn't just that Nike has restructured Caitlin Clark's contract. It's that the brand is now going on the offensive after securing Clark with a groundbreaking, reworked endorsement deal. Nike is reportedly suing Adidas for alleged interference and sabotage during critical contract negotiations. According to insider sources, Adidas attempted to disrupt the talks, pushing aggressively to lure Clark away just as Nike was finalizing terms. But when Nike fully realized the extent of Adidas behind-the-scenes maneuvers, they didn't just double down. They delivered a legal and strategic message loud and clear by locking in Caitlin Clark with one of the most lucrative women's sports deals in recent memory. Nike effectively gave Adidas the finger and reminded the industry, who still dominates the athlete branding game, this move could reshape not only Clark's future, but also the entire battle between athletic giants fighting for generational talent.
However, I will say that Caitlin Clark has created more buzz around the basketball landscape and has actually transformed and revived a league that was the WNBA, and she is getting paid a measly $28 million for 8 years as opposed to Wemby's $100.
Legally speaking, it's obvious that the corporate titans like Nike and Adidas can't simply meddle with each other's athlete rosters without consequences. The rules in the world of sports endorsements are strict, and violations come with serious repercussions. Now, Adidas is scrambling to defend itself, claiming that all they did was present Caitlin Clark with a standard offer, which she ultimately turned down. But let's be real, the timing, the tactics, and the aggressive approach suggests something much more calculated, and unfortunately for Adidas, they're not up against just any brand. They're up against Nike, the undisputed giant of the global sportswear industry. Nike's legal team is notorious for playing hardball, and with Caitlin Clark now fully secured under their banner, they have every reason to protect their investment and make an example out of any brand that crosses the line. What started as a simple negotiation has now erupted into a high-stakes legal battle that could redefine athlete endorsements moving forward.
Caitlin Clark signed NBA season, it was announced that Caitlin Clark signed a massive endorsement deal with Nike. This deal was for 8 years, $28 million with a signature sneaker included. Now, at the time,
strangely enough, there's something undeniably entertaining about watching this conflict unfold. At the heart of it is Nike, a brand that almost let its golden goose, Caitlin Clark, slip through its fingers. For a brief moment, the internet lit up with criticism, mocking Nike for nearly fumbling what could be the most valuable women's endorsement opportunity of the decade. Social media didn't hold back, turning their hesitation into a viral punchline, but in the end, Nike wasn't foolish. They recognized Clark's generational impact just in time, rewrote the deal, and locked her in. It's been a wild, slightly chaotic, and surprisingly amusing mess from start to finish. Now, with Adidas scrambling and Nike walking away with a PR and legal upper hand, fans are getting front row seats to a marketing war that's as much about ego as it is about business.
Not get a signature shoe from Caitlin until 2026 or 2027. I didn't mean for this video to turn into a rant, but this is just another example about how people have fumbled the gift that is.
At this point, you almost have to feel a little sympathy for Adidas. All they really tried to do was swoop in and capitalize on what Nike had seemingly overlooked. And to be fair, they nearly pulled it off. This wasn't just some baseless Internet rumor floating around on Twitter. No, this was real. It was bold. It was aggressive. And it came with serious heat. Adidas threw their entire arsenal at Caitlin Clark like they were staging a sneaker world coup, aiming to snatch away a generational talent right from under Nike's nose. And for a moment, it genuinely looked like they might succeed. This wasn't a soft pitch or a speculative offer. This was a full-blown takeover attempt. And it shook people. The industry hadn't seen this level of competitive aggression in a long time, and fans could feel the tension. It was more than just business. It was a power move.
Praise the commercials, the ads, the merch, like all of the things that she should have gotten during this rookie season. Nike hasn't produced one ad or commercial featuring Clark since she turned pro. And despite a signature shoe being part of Nike's agreement with Clark,
based on conversations with people in the know, it indeed has something to do with the WNBA MVP and Nike athlete Asia Wilson. But beyond Wilson, it's about the culture at the company that's more concerned with quelling noise rather than making it, as Nike once used.
The best player in the WNBA? Yes. Is Caitlin Clark currently the face of the WNBA? Yes. Do I think if Asia Wilson dropped a shoe and Caitlin Clark dropped a shoe today at the very same time, that Caitlin Clark would outsell Asia's shoe by 100 times?
And here's where the story gets even Jewisher. Caitlin Clark was already signed with Nike, that's a fact. But instead of treating her like the basketball goddess she is, Nike managed to fumble nearly every aspect of the deal they promised. Her a signature shoe, a full collection set for a 2024 release, and the kind of marketing rollout reserved for once-in-a-generation talent. But in classic Nike fashion, they botched the execution. Now, instead of fans lacing up Caitlin's debut sneaker this year, we might not see it hit shelves until 2026, maybe even 2027. I didn't plan for this to turn into a rant, but it's hard not to call it what it is, a complete disaster. This isn't just a minor delay, it's a potential contract violation written in bold capital letters. How do you mess up something this important? The ads, the billboards, the merch, the commercials, the entire rookie season rollout has been virtually non-existent. Nike hasn't released a single major commercial featuring Clark since she turned pro. Zero. And remember, the signature shoe was part of her official agreement, according to multiple sources familiar with the situation. Internal politics played a major role, particularly involving WNBA MVP and Nike athlete Aja Wilson. Nike reportedly chose to push Wilson's signature shoe ahead of Clark's, arguing that as MVP, she had earned the spotlight. And let's be honest, Wilson's name doesn't bring the same online frenzy or drama as Clark's, a trait Nike now fears rather than embraces. But here's the problem, Clark has an army of supporters. Her fanbase is one of the most passionate in sports today, ready to break the internet for her sneaker. Yet Nike decided to play it safe, not based on merit or projected sales, but because of a media narrative that prioritized stability over star power. While Nike was busy choking on red tape and internal politics, Adidas was watching and waiting. They didn't hesitate as Nike delayed. Adidas swooped in and offered Clark a massive deal with better terms, more money, and, crucially, complete creative freedom. They weren't just offering her shoes to wear, they were giving her the reins to design her own marketing strategy, build her brand, and speak directly to her fans. In short, they treated her like the cultural force she is. Let's be clear, right now, Caitlin Clark isn't just the best player in the WNBA, she's the face of it. And if both Aja Wilson and Caitlin Clark dropped signature shoes on the same day, it wouldn't even be close. Clark's would outsell Wilson's by 100 to -1. Adidas saw that. Nike didn't, or worse, ignored it. Adidas gave Clark what Nike should have delivered from day one: respect, recognition, and reach. They understood that fans weren't going to wait until 2027 to get a piece of the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. They knew that momentum matters. They promised her an accelerated shoe release and backed it up. Meanwhile, Nike entered panic mode. They realized they were on the verge of a PR catastrophe. Not just because of Clark possibly signing with Adidas, but because of what it would mean if her shoe dropped at the same time as Wilson's. They knew Clark's would sell out instantly, while Wilson's might gather dust. So they scrambled. They tried to revive the original deal they'd ignored for months, hoping to save face and salvage what was left of their credibility. Just when Nike thought they could push Caitlin Clark to the sidelines, reality smacked them in the face suddenly. The same company that had delayed her signature shoe was scrambling to get it back on track for a 2024 release, the same timeline they originally promised before abandoning it. They were desperate. They knew that if they lost Clark to Adidas, it wouldn't just be a blown opportunity, it would be a catastrophic failure. And the worst part? Despite Clark winning unanimous WNBA Rookie of the Year honors, Nike still had no official rollout plan for her shoe. Why not? The official explanation from Nike is vague and unconvincing. What are they hiding? Has women's sports lost its commercial appeal? Unlikely. Adidas has proven there's still a strong market, even after ending key partnerships. So let's be honest, was this just too little, too late? Clark's fanbase wasn't blind to what was happening. They saw how Nike treated their rising star, not with reverence, but with corporate hesitation. Now, with Adidas entering the chat, it was no longer just about sneakers, it became about loyalty, respect, and what Caitlin Clark represents. On and off the court, the tide really turned when tennis legend and Adidas ambassador Billie Jean King publicly celebrated Clark's potential switch. That tweet sent shockwaves across sports media and signaled a shift in momentum. Meanwhile, insiders were buzzing about Nike's last-ditch efforts to salvage the relationship. Rumors flew that they were now offering massive bonuses, accelerated production schedules, and a full-blown marketing blitz to make up for lost time. But it was obvious Nike was throwing everything at the wall in hopes that something would stick. They weren't just fighting to keep a superstar, they were trying to save their brand's image. Because Clark doesn't just sell jerseys, she represents the future. Let's not forget the uncomfortable truth. 20 years ago, LeBron James got his own signature shoe in his rookie year. Nike had the vision then. What happened? Why? Couldn't they give Clark the same respect and urgency? That lack of action has created a mess that now includes rumors of a looming legal battle between the two biggest sportswear giants on the planet. Yes, Nike wasn't just sweet-talking Clark. Behind the scenes, they were preparing to go nuclear legally, according to insiders. Nike is accusing Adidas of tampering with Clark's original contract, claiming that Adidas violated clauses that prohibit contact with a signed athlete, especially one under an exclusivity agreement. And let's be real, these endorsement deals are no joke. They're airtight, aggressive, and designed to prevent exactly this kind of scenario. Adidas, however, pushed forward anyway, reportedly offering Clark more freedom, better benefits, and a faster rollout. Word is they even dangled creative control and more money to lure her away. Was it strategic genius or contractual sabotage? Nike says the latter, and they're furious. This isn't just a brand war. It's a battle for the soul of athlete endorsements. Nike is now preparing a potential lawsuit that could reshape not only their relationship with Clark, but the entire structure of the sneaker market. The exclusivity clause in Clark's Nike deal was supposedly crystal clear: no rival brands, period. Yet Adidas moved like a chess master. ALLEGE deal while testing legal boundaries and making power plays behind the scenes. What we're witnessing is like a heavyweight title fight, but one of the fighters maybe crossing the line. Nike is pointing fingers, and their legal team is working around the clock if this case moves forward. The outcome could set legal precedent across the sports industry. We're talking about billion-dollar implications, and right in the center of all this chaos, Caitlin Clark, the most talked about, most marketable, and most wanted athlete in women's basketball, she didn't ask to be the epicenter of a sneaker war, but she might just redefine how the game is played, both on and off the court.